Sunday, episode 9, Real City Ambassadors. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. I always like to count my blessings, not only because it's Thanksgiving, but all throughout the year. And I wanted to be very intentional about who I interviewed prior to Thanksgiving. So it's so fitting to have my brother. He is native San Franciscan. He's Native American Chicano. So he's like native to the max to San Francisco. He's currently an arts instructor at Larkin Street Youth Services. But really, like, his passion, his drive is being an independent producer, audio engineer, DJ, and we'll talk more about that, under his own production company, JumpHouse Music. I give you my brother, aka Hella Fat, Carlos Gonzalez, Carlos G. What's up, bro?
Yo, you did it again, man. It's Gutierrez, but it's all
I did it again. Carlos G. Gutierrez. Oh my God. I gotta work that out real quick. Work that muscle.
It's all good, man. Thank you again, man, for having me, dude. This is like a serious honor. Like, you're putting me on your platform. I know it's gonna be heard by many people in the community, and just grateful. It is around that time of the year to be grateful, and This is a celebration of that. So
yeah, and just in case people, just browse through the bio, like, you're the reason why we have a theme to Real City Ambassadors, and we'll talk about how that came to be, how we whipped it up, how we worked on it, how we felt about it. But yeah, I love it. We'll talk about that. I don't want to get ahead. Let's start with you. Tell us again, San Franciscan. Where were you raised in San Francisco?
So I was raised in the Bayview Hunters Point district of San Francisco.
You got any streets you can name?
I'm not gonna say my exact street.
No, you don't have to. But
I live by like Silver Terrace Park, like
word,
Silver Bayshore area.
Yeah.
Kind of on the hill where you got like a beautiful view of the bridge.
I know that area really well.
Really, yeah. I'm just really like grateful and it's just been really nice growing up here, man. Like, to see all the diversity of the neighborhood, to see like. It's been changing a bit, of course, because of the massive changes in real estate and stuff happening in the city. But overall, I think it's really maintained its roots. So I'm still here. I'm still in the Bayview in my little home studio right now.
Hell yeah. So
it's where I call home. Yep.
So let's break it down before we jump into it. JumpHouse, and then there's Hella Fat, and then Carlos G. That's right. All of you, but break down what each one represents or what each one is.
Right. I think it can confuse people at times because it's definitely just by association. People call me Carlos G. People call me Los. People call me Hella Fat. People call me by my real name, Benito. But really what it is JumpHouse Music is a music services company. I provide audio engineering, production, and DJing services. Throughout the Bay Area. I've done a bit of work in New York as well. And JumpHouse is kind of like the umbrella company over all the music service platform services that I do. Hella Fat is kind of like a brand, almost like an alter ego.
Yeah.
It's more of a lifestyle brand that goes under JumpHouse Music, but it's its own entity. Basically, Hella Fat is like my producer alter ego, my DJ alter ego. It's a character that I've actually developed into like a 3D video form.
Yeah.
It's just a moniker that I go by. That's and to go by and to really explain what Hella Fat means, people often have different reactions. Well, Hella Fat, like it sounds like you're making fun of yourself. It sounds like you're dissing yourself. Like, you kind of like. But I'm trying to flip that image of fat and hella being like a California word, and fat, F-A-T, being, usually talks about your weight and like your image. But I'm trying to flip that image of fatness in terms of positivity. You know what I mean?
I mean, because it is used. I don't know. Is that an East Coast thing? Like back in the day, they used to use fat. Like
I think it's a West Coast thing, you know. We say,
Okay.
oh shit, you know, my wallet's hella fat right now because, you know, I just got paid, or like I went to the taqueria and I got this burrito. Damn, this burrito is hella fat.
Right.
You know, like that is something that is thrown out there a lot.
Yeah.
But people get it confused because they think I spell it with FAT. You know,
like Fat Farm.
Like Fat Farm. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just showing folks your Instagram real quick so that, you know, if they're tuned in, they know about you, and you have your website too. Before we dive into this aspect of your life, let's stop and let's talk about what schools you went to, like growing up. You were born or you were raised in the Bayview. What elementary school did you go to?
So I went to Buena Vista Elementary in the Mission District. Back then it was by 24th and Potrero.
So right now it's called Buena Vista Horace Mann. It's located on 23rd, right? And but what you said it was on 25th?
The original site was on by 24th and Potrero, like right off 25th, basically. A few blocks away. It was on the backside of La Raza Park.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So Potrero del Sol Raza Park. Okay. And so that was elementary school, and I bring it up because obviously I know Buena Vista, and they've always been involved in Carnival. Was that something you were involved growing up?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like ever since like I think it was kinder or first grade, like they had us dressing up in the costumes, and we would take like recycled like water bins and like turn those into drums. And they would have all the youngsters out there like drumming and learning from Felipe, shout out Felipe and John Calloway. You know, they were our first music teachers back then, and they had us super involved. You know, we would rehearse every weekend for a few months leading up to it, and it was good times. It definitely is like a San Francisco staple and classic, you know, which is why I'm involved in it now, you know.
Hey, shout out to John Calloway, by the way. he is one of my San Francisco Mission or just San Francisco heroes because he's brought up a lot of musicians, a lot of really great individuals. Period. Were you already inclined? Like, were you musically inclined? Did you know, or you were just being a kid?
Gives me a hard time because he's like, man, he'll be like, oh, you went to NYU because I taught you music in kindergarten.
I can see him bragging.
Yeah. You know, I'm sure it's like a badge of honor for him to have so many students doing amazing things in music, like under his wing, you know, under his guidance. But yeah, I wasn't initially musically inclined. Like neither of my parents were musicians or artists in particular. My mom did a bit of theater with Teatro Campesino.
No way. Wait, where was she raised?
My mom's from Southern California, and my dad's from the Bay Area, from Hayward, San Jose.
Oh, word!
So
no way.
Yeah, and just going back to my musical inclinations, like I had no background, but I remember picking up the recorder and like having like a little book, and like teaching myself all the little melodies on the recorder from the book, and then picking up clarinet with John in like 4th grade, and just kind of kept going from there. But like definitely like my music taste and my musical influences started out with my parents, and like combination of like being around the arts and culture through BV, for sure.
Nice. And you know, it wasn't hard, right, being in San Francisco, being exposed to so much music. But and by the way, I need to bring John Calloway on this for sure. He'll have stories for days. And then so that was elementary school, and then in middle school, where did you end up going?
So for middle school, I ended up going to James Lick Middle School, which was a bit of a different experience for me because BV like had such a tight knit community. It was like all of my friends went there. Our parents were friends. There was a community there that really harnessed like our education, our well being. And then I went to James Lick, which was like straight up like, oh man, these pictures are crazy because I haven't even been back since then. But like, yeah, it was just a whole different experience. We had kids from all around the city. you know, it was a little rougher. It was rough.
Yeah.
You know, but luckily through that school, like I was able to do the bilingual immersion program and keep continuing my Spanish, developing my Spanish, and keep developing my education. And then at a certain point, you know, it was like getting time to apply for high schools, and I was on track.
What was your scene like in middle school? Like, were you heavily involved in music, or were you just what were you like in middle school? What was your thing?
I was kind of a shy kid, you know, but I had a lot of friends from elementary school that went to James Lake. But I was kind of a shy kid. Like I kind of stuck to myself. You know, when I would have my little hijinks in middle school for sure. But like when I saw that it was like gonna affect, like, okay, when it was gonna affect my education and my grades, I dialed back, and I was kind of shy. I was kind of introverted. But I was like into like emo rock and like punk rock and like hip hop and reggae. Like I was starting to get introduced to reggae, and
nice.
Though, you know, listening to like my parents' records, like I got my first pair of turntables when I was like 12, 13, and I started.
How did that come about?
Well, I just really showed an interest in DJing growing up, and I actually saw. We had a substitute teacher one day at James Lick, and my friend George Anzaldo, he brought a tape that said DJ Qbert and Mixmaster Mike, like DJ animation battle or something like that. Oh, it was called Wave Twisters. He brought this tape, handed it to the substitute teacher, and we're sitting there in class watching this DJ live DJing with like animation and like scratch DJing, and that really like influenced me. It really like made the my skin tingle. You know what I mean? I was like, I want to do that. And
was that were those well-known DJs?
Yeah, DJ Qbert is like one of the best scratch DJs, turntablist, battle DJs in the world, as well as
let me see. Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. I do want to bring this up. Is this Qbert?
Yeah, that's Qbert. So he influenced me a lot, and when I got my first pair of turntables, I started taking my parents' records and like records that I started to collect and started to like blend them, do like scratching and beat juggling and all that kind of thing. And later on, I even like entered a few battles here in the city when I was like 14, 15, a kid. All these guys were like well-groomed DJs, and I was.
Where did these battles take place?
So I used to go to these battles called the Zebra Records battles down in Lower Haight, and Zebra Records was just a small mom and pop like record store / turntable vendor. They used to sell DJ gear there, and they would hold battles every Sunday. So I used to go down there, and as a little youngster, and check out these guys who I thought were much older. They were probably in their early 20s then. But they were the cream of the crop of the DJ field, and there was people traveling around the country and around the world just to be at this mom and pop shop to get the chance to DJ against like some of the Bay Area's best.
Wow.
So it was actually a really good exposure to the culture, and it got me into like turntablism, and then eventually I got a drum machine, so I would start to like plug in my beats and scratch to my own beats. And in my bedroom, like I was like 12, 13 years old, just like taking the wires and the cabling and the old home stereo that I had laying around and like started plugging it in and figuring out like engineering, what now is I call engineering, but so the DJ battles, the DJ scene.
What's a set? What does a simple set look like?
So usually you only have like 2 to 3 minutes to like pull off all of your tricks. So it usually starts with like an intro of some sort to bring people in, to get people excited. And then you want to show like your best scratching, your best beat juggling. You know, if you have any like original tricks that you can pull off that you were just experimenting with. It was really like an experimental sound, but it was like using the turntables, the needles, and the vinyl however you could.
Wow.
To produce sounds that, you know, really nobody had been hearing before. And then, like, you know, that kind of scene took over the masses, where you started hearing scratching in like commercials and stuff like that, and like it just took over.
Did you have a DJ that you looked up to here in the Bay, or were you looking at other ones outside?
Yeah, I got the opportunity to study under a DJ named DJ Cutso from San Jose. He's from the Bangers crew. They actually like did the soundtrack for the Jabberwockies in their showcase in Las Vegas. But DJ Cutso has also been on the radio with 94.9.
Is this Cutso?
Yep, that's him.
Oh,
Cutso, man. I haven't seen you talk to you in a while, but yo, you changed the game for me, man.
Word. What was it about him and his style that influenced you?
Well, he brought in like records that I never heard before, like A Tribe Called Quest and Jurassic 5 and The Roots, and he just gave me the opportunity to like use his turntables and his insights and just showed me everything he knew. And then at a certain point, like I was starting to level up experience wise with some of these guys, you know?
Yeah.
And but he's really awesome. He was a really awesome mentor back then. Welcomed me into his home and showed me a lot.
And this is all happening while you're in high school?
This is still in middle school. I was still a kid.
And then high school, I want to just quickly transition, because I want to know how your experience in high school influenced what you were doing outside. And you went to the Urban, I found out.
The Urban School.
Blame Facebook. But can you explain what the Urban School is? Because it's a top-notch private school in San Francisco.
Yeah, so I ended up getting into Urban on a scholarship. Like I had to apply and like take like basically like a SAT exam for like middle schoolers to get into private high school. And then I excelled really well. I had a great GPA. I had a good resume. I had started working as a soccer referee. I used to play soccer. Yeah. And then on top of that, I was interested in DJing. And I remember in my interview with Urban, I had mentioned that I was working towards having my own turntables and becoming a DJ. And then they found a scholarship match, like a donor that was in like radio and communications and in sports.
Whoa.
And like they ended up giving me almost a full ride to Urban. And that changed my whole life in a whole nother way, because like it was coming from like almost like I don't want to call it a prison to pipeline school. But James Lick was definitely like a rough school to go to. Not everyone made it out of there.
No, I know what you mean.
And then, but they gave me this opportunity to go to this like upper echelon school with like, you know, a lot of privilege, a lot of like very wealthy families.
What did the demographics look like at the Urban School?
It was mostly like upper echelon, like elite educated and privileged students, you know.
Yeah,
that was just a factor, and it was known. But I really respect Urban because they really worked on their diversity, equity, and inclusion. They brought in a lot of students of color. They allowed us to hold space and like throw our own events and throw meetings.
Did you experience any culture shock?
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Going from James Lick to Urban School was a culture shock, no doubt. But I had a lot of support there,
nice.
Kind of in like mentorship and like the teachers and the people there at the school really supported my goals and what I wanted to accomplish out of that opportunity. And they supported me by giving me access to the art programs. So I was in the theater program. I was in the visual arts programs. I was in peer resources, the students of color groups.
Yeah.
So I was involved in a lot of things there, but I always took this route like academically because I was trying to make all the academics make sense to me. Like how am I going to use this down the line? You know?
Okay.
And I even remember I took an AP calculus class in my senior year. Wasn't doing so great. To be honest, that shit's hard. Yeah. But, I was like, how is this going to connect to me? So I started doing my own research on calculus and how it connects to sound engineering. And there's like these charts and these like articles about like how calculus relates to sound engineering. So I would bring stuff like that from my own personal art forms and passions, and I'd bring that to the table, and they would mentor me, you know, through the process.
So, you know, high schoolers start thinking about college, like, well, I mean, throughout their life, you know, with their parents' support, of course, but really it's junior year, right? When they're like, all right, you really got to be on track and kind of figure out where you want to go. Did you know where you know, I know where you ended up going. Did you know already you wanted to go to a specific school?
No, I mean, that was another thing. They really like pushed the college track conversation early. You know, my sophomore year, I had no idea. And I remember telling them, you know, like, I want to go to an elite school. Like, I want to go to a Harvard or somewhere where it's going to bring me like the longevity that I want for my life, you know. But I hadn't then decided what track I want or what degree I wanted to go for. And that's because I was doing music. I was doing theater. I was doing spoken word and creative writing. I did a bit of visual arts. It wasn't until Urban sent me to a semester-long program called the Oxbow School, which is a boarding art school in Napa for high schoolers from around the country. And so I ended up going there for a semester and dabbling in like visual arts, multimedia arts, installation art, performing arts.
Is Oxbow right here?
That's it. Yep.
So wait, break this down, because this is, you know, we don't come from these backgrounds. So I feel it. It was a really rare opportunity. Yeah.
I had a mentor at Urban in the theater program that was like, well, you don't have, I was like, I don't have a visual arts background, but I want to learn and I want this opportunity. And they were like, well, do it, apply anyway, you know? And I applied and I got in, and I got to live in these studios basically for 4 months and develop.
So this is during the summer or when?
This was this was the second semester of my junior year.
Got it.
So when I had come back from this program the next year, when I had to start filling out college applications, I had known that what I wanted to do, and it was definitely in the arts.
Got it. That's interesting. That's great. And so I'm just gonna post this photo right here. NYU. That was you.
Yeah.
How did that decision come to be? And
that's
what did it mean to you?
Story.
Yeah.
I really believe in like synchronicity and like the powers of the universe, like aligning things for you. If you put out that energy, if you're putting out if you're speaking it, if you're living it into existence, it will come with the right preparation, of course, because nothing really comes by luck. It comes by preparation, a mixture of opportunity and preparation. And
the support system. Let's never forget that.
So Urban definitely offered me a support system. But well, initially I had showed interest in NYU, and the summer before senior year, I had flown myself and my sister out to New York.
How old is your sister?
My sister's like 5 years older than me.
Got it.
Now. But back then I was a teenager and she was a little bit older. She was in college. We took a bus from Ohio. Well, I think I had flown to Ohio, and then I took a bus from Ohio, where she was living, to New York. We busted in, and then I took a tour of New York, but the tour guide was in the Tisch School of the Arts.
The what school?
The Tisch School of the Arts.
Okay, what is that?
It's one of the colleges in NYU.
Okay.
So NYU is divided by like a bunch of different colleges. So he happened to be in the theater program at Tisch. And I was like, yo, like I'm a spoken word artist, I'm a musician, this and that. He's like, oh, you want to check out Clive Davis? And I was like, Clive Davis? I know who that is.
Yeah.
Because I remember on Saturday mornings, my dad would be playing Santana up in our living room. And one day he had pulled me over with the Time magazine and said, hey, look, this is a guy named Clive Davis. He discovered Santana. He's a music executive. And I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
But when they said Clive Davis, I was like, it just made sense.
Yeah.
And then I went full force and like really started developing my music portfolio, and specifically for this application to NYU. And I ended up being 1 out of 25 applicants to be accepted out of like maybe 10,000 applicants. There was a lot of applicants to that program.
I believe you.
It's a really, really like high profile program, but I gave it my best shot, you know. I did my interview. I wrote like 4 essays. I had to send in a digital portfolio with a sample of my work. And actually, the guy who was on my portfolio work was Adam Vita, A1. He was the MC on my production that I had sent into NYU.
Adam Vita.
Shout out to Adam.
Is he a rapper?
Yeah, he's a local rapper. A lot of folks.
Is this Adam Vita?
Yeah.
Cool.
So shout out to Adam.
Shout out to Adam.
Also, shout out to my friends Isaac Ramos and
La Vida Frisco.
Yep.
I gotta listen to him, man. Where the fuck I been, bro?
Yeah. Everyone in the city knows Adam Vita. Come on now.
I know, man. I've been in a fucking cave. That's why I'm talking to you, bro.
But yeah, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Adam, to Isaac Ramos of the Slap Factory Prophet crew.
Yeah.
We also came up doing music together in high school at Urban.
Word.
And me and Adam and Isaac started our first crew at Urban at a Aim High summer program, because we're all teaching at the same program. And we formed a group, and like since then we've all been doing our own.
So you two are the same age?
Just about.
That's cool. Oh, I gotta check him out, man. I've been sleeping.
Yeah.
I've been sleeping.
You haven't heard of him? You know, so these guys, my friends, were like definitely also influential in the work that I did really young, because it gave me a community around music. Like we would play as a live band. And I was the DJ for the band. So as a DJ, I would observe and try to add my nuances to what are
nuances? What kind of nuances?
Just like my scratch nuances and like production nuances, like with the drum machine.
Got it.
Beatboxing, like doing vocal beatboxing. And it kind of like showed me how to craft a record, because I was seeing them do it live. And then I would take influences from that and apply it to like my drum machines and like my guitar playing and stuff I was doing on the side. So Isaac Ramos, shout out. Sackmaster is his name. Adam Vita, the Prophet crew. Those were my homies. Or they still are my homies, you know. We go way back, basically.
Prophet crew SF.
It probably there's probably no digital trace of this now.
I know, I'm looking them up.
These are like the MySpace days, dude.
You're dating yourself right now, bro.
The MySpace days.
We're not getting younger, but don't say too much. The good old MySpace, man. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit and just showcase this photo. So this is you now. You know, this
that was a few years ago.
It's a few years ago. What was it like coming back to? Well, did you want to come back to San Francisco? How did that come to be, and what was that transition like for you? Because you were living in New York for 4 years, 5.
I was actually there for 6 years.
6 years. Hey, bro, man, take your time. So you were out there for 6 years, living the New York life, being exposed to all these artists and other experiences. What made you come back to the Bay? Make you come back to San Francisco?
Yeah, I kind of want to backtrack a little bit because I didn't really speak on my experiences in New York so much. But
Okay.
yeah, I had the opportunity to study with like some really like landmark industry people, from like Bob Power, who was like the engineer behind Tribe Called Quest and Erykah Badu, The Roots.
How did you end up working with Bob?
I took a digital audio workshop, digital audio workstation class with Bob Power.
Who's the gentleman?
Yeah, that's
So
him.
he was an instructor at NYU, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and we also worked with like we also had Swiss Beats was a producer in residence in my program.
No shit. Swiss Beats?
Illmind, the producer.
That's crazy.
Swiss Beats, Illmind, the producer, was another teacher. And through that community, I started branching out my skill set. Like I started feeling more confident in my ability as a producer beyond just beat making. It really went into like how the industry works, how to negotiate contracts, how to produce a marketing plan, produce a business plan, how to produce an album, how to develop talent. All of this stuff was taught. And I also got really into the social entrepreneurship side too, which is why, going back to your question, is like, it actually in Swiss Beats' words, he said, you should go back to your community and build a scene locally and build outward from there, because those are the people that you want to have your back. They're going to be like your first followers. And when you're experimenting with different sounds and different styles, they're like kind of like your feedback group. They're going to give you feedback on your work. Going back to your question, initially I didn't want to leave New York. It became like a financial circumstance that like I had to move back to the Bay. It got expensive to live in New York. I was staying in an apartment in Harlem for 2 years. And it got expensive. The rent went up on me. And
what was happening? How did it just get expensive? Did you see the changes happening in those 6 years?
Yeah, the same things we talk about here in the Mission with the real estate boom and the flipping of properties. That was happening in Harlem at the same time. And the rent went up on me. And then I ended up having to sell my last piece of gear to ship everything back to the city and to get my plane flight back to the city. So I had to start all over. But I had a strong network in New York. I had these like rare opportunities. I was doing beat showcases. I was producing independent artists out there. I was DJing.
And then you come back, and the scene here is completely different. I've never been to New York. I'll be very honest, but I know from folks that have been, it's like night and day, right? You come here. How do you begin to rebuild your community or your network? Who are the people you started reaching out to first?
Well, initially it was Carnival, to be honest.
I remember. So wait, when we first met, you had just came from New York?
Yeah. I was like 23, 24.
Yeah, well, I mean,
2013.
Yep.
Carnival was kind of going through a turbulent time itself too. But I saw a match for me being involved because I had just studied like online fundraising and like multimedia production. And so around that time, like I was helping Carnival with producing like a fundraising video and helping with the social media and the web design, the web development, the web design, and things like that I picked up in college. And I was like, this is a good start because I know through Carnival I'm going to meet so many people from around the Bay that are artists, that are merchandisers, musicians, dancers, everything. So I really hit the ground running with that. And
that's cool.
It was a huge transition because in New York, the industry it's kind of like a trickle down effect. You have a lot of like corporations and bigger music companies that fund and market the talent. But here it's more of like a grassroots ground up approach because we don't have as many like resources. But another thing that I was really interested in at the time, because I was learning like web design and web development, social media marketing, all these things that would be incorporated into my music, I found an interest in the tech industry here. I mean, there was an opportunity for me to at least learn and grow through utilizing technology to develop platforms within the community.
And
that's how Carnival is like the ground zero for that, because and then we eventually have like, I mean, like
we've crossed paths ever since then.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and I want to come back to that eventually. I just want to show the photo. I mean, I'm fast forwarding quite a bit. This is 6 years later, right? You know, you have Hella Fat. Was that a moniker that came from New York, or that's something you developed here?
That's something I developed in the West Coast when I moved back.
Okay.
JumpHouse music, basically, like, I had been going by Studio Startup, and I picked my like thesis capstone to like a panel of people at NYU, like, and then I got feedback, and taking some of the advice they gave me, I just kind of pivoted my business model and started over in the Bay, and really, like, Hella Fat is like the alter ego. It's like my character in like 3D animation form.
Yeah, tell me about tell me the vision behind this project.
So Hella Fat, the New Wonder, is a collection of sci-fi ambient sounds that I produced. And so what I did was I took sci-fi ambient sounds and I made a short EP.
Yeah.
And I made a visual EP along with it, where I designed this character in this universe that Hella Fat lives in space. Because it's a sci-fi project. But when I put out the material on SoundCloud and Spotify, Apple Music, and all those platforms, I also included it on my website, where you can download these sounds that I produce, and you can remix them royalty free, straight off my website, Hella Fat Kits.
Right here, Hella Fat Kits.
The interesting part about this website, though, is that I can collect payments through debit, credit, PayPal, Apple Cash, and cryptocurrencies through Coinbase.
Nice.
So you can pay in cryptocurrency and pay for some samples or for some songs of mine.
I mean, a Bitcoin's $17,000, bro.
Yeah.
Throw in 17,000 right there. That's cool. And you have, there's several several pieces to this project. I'm not describing pieces. I mean like different sound pieces. What's the goal behind creating different sound videos, pieces?
Well, the vision is that this is a storyline in development. Hella Fat has a story. He grew, like, I could go into it a little bit.
Go do it.
I don't want to go too deep into it because I could go off.
Take us in there. Take us to the world of Hella Fat.
Hella Fat is a young man from the Mission District of San Francisco who through the trials and tribulations of gentrification is getting forced out of his house. Him and his mother have been forced out of his house.
Yeah.
In his own kind of sadness and depression, he wanders the street and discovers this portal into another universe.
Nice.
Right? And that's what that portal represents.
Cool.
So this is the prequel to the story. This is when he first lands in space.
Oh, that explains why he's kind of like looking around.
Right. And I designed the character. I had it 3D animated. I had the world 3D animated. And so the actual portal move, the frequencies of the light move with the sound. Move with the frequencies of sound.
That's true.
So it's all connected. But yeah, even some of the titles are called like Threshold. Threshold. And there's different titles to the songs that kind of represent kind of rebirth, a new beginning. And so he goes through an adventure in space that I'm storyboarding and writing the story progressively, and eventually we'll have it animated in a short film.
Love it, bro. But does he come back to the mission, Or what happens, bro?
We don't know what happens. I can't give that away. But the cool thing about it is that I'm completely producing it and soundtracking it.
Yeah.
And that the soundtracks will be available on my website to download the full composition, or you could download layers or different parts of the song to be able to remix and reproduce in your own compositions, which is kind of this whole other industry of like drum kits and loop packs, which is like a whole different scene that's like blowing up right now.
So when I was thinking about, look, I need a theme. I need a theme to the Real City Ambassadors. And it's funny that you mentioned, I saw this visual music project on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no shit. Like my man Carlos, like, of course he can, you know, he's got all the tricks. He knows the tricks and knows how to like produce, and he's a beat maker. Like, let me hit him up. Yeah. And that was it, yo. I just, you know, say, hey bro, this is what I'm working on. This is my vision. Let's see what we can make out of it. Can you talk about how how that process was? Obviously, you know, we went through a few beats. You know, what did you have cooking already when we started working on the Real City Ambassadors theme?
Well, when you approached me with that idea, with your idea and this project in mind, I wanted to create something that was like fresh, refreshing, you know, represented like the caliber of the people that you're bringing into the show. Something that's like also like hip hop and also like Bay, you know, like so.
Because you gave me a wide spectrum of music, beats, sounds, and we had to go through this. It was just really a conversation about what's the feel, what is the feel that we want to get. And the one thing I did say in terms of tempo was like, I want to be able to be walking, have a pace as if I'm just walking down the streets of the Mission of San Francisco, looking side to side, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in my city. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, see, I wanted to make something more like when you mentioned walking, like I can't go too big with the sound. I had to keep it toned down and mellow, you know?
Yeah. So
I was really kind of like inspired by like Jay Dilla and like Slum Village and like underground hip hop styles like coming up. So I was like, this has got to be like a backpacker like hip hop song, right?
A backpacker. I like it.
You know? So yeah, I put together a few sounds. I used some plugins on my software, on my music software. I used Arcade. I used some splice sounds. I used some original composition that I composed MIDI wise. But like I used some royalty free samples, and I programmed all of it. You know, it didn't take me too long to come up with the idea, but refining it and making sure all the tones came through clearly, making sure all the colors of the songs and the brightness and everything was like coming through accurately. That's what I do as a mixing engineer, is like make sure that all comes through with precision, you know?
Yeah. And I want to play a snippet of the song. So just real quick, someone's shouting out, so like, you have a great story. So, you know,
right on.
And I have a question for Sylvia. What is the bass sound? How do you describe the bass sound?
Well, the bass sound is like a combination. There's many bass sounds, but like the past, I mean, the lineage to me comes from like the Summer of Love, the psychedelic rock, the psychedelic funk. When hip hop was kind of coming up, following those times, a lot of those like influences from like Sly and the Family Stone, Tower of Power. You know, those type of sounds were like affecting hip hop. They were influencing hip hop. So there's definitely like a funk influence to it. I also came up, the intro song is inspired by Detroit underground hip hop too, because Jay Dilla is like a revered producer from Detroit that inspires all hip hop producers. They have kind of like this certain swing and a certain bounce and a certain like bass line that bounces across the song that really keep it progressing. The bass, he's from Detroit though, so I wanted to kind of blend like a Bay Area mob music sound with like a Detroit sound.
Interesting.
And because this sound that Jay Dilla enhanced like affects everybody in a way.
Interesting.
He's like the pioneer of like gritty, jazzy, like lo-fi hip hop, and that's kind of what I wanted to bring to this, but with a Bay sound.
Can I pause it so we can hear a little bit? So people, as they heard you explain, and then as we continue to explain a little bit more, they can kind of jive with it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and I'm gonna share the audio real quick. I like the bass being heavy, but not overpowering. You know, it was just right. How would you describe what's happening in the music?
So yeah, here the kind of the guitar sample kind of sets the tone, and then comes in the drums and the bass to kind of add more like beefiness to it. Mm-hmm. But in the background, you also hear a bit of like organs. There's like a chorus sound.
Yeah.
So it's very like kind of like spiritual in a way. I don't know how else to say it. Like it's spiritual. It connects to the Bay. It connects to like the lineage of Bay music. It's also Jay Dilla inspired, but it's its own thing, you know.
It is.
Usually when I write and I'm in the flow, like it doesn't take me too long to produce the idea. It takes maybe like 30 minutes to an hour to kind of like cook up the idea, and then when it's marinating and it's like brewing, that's me really going and refining the mix and making sure the mix is balanced.
We had a timeline. My goal was to announce to the Real City Ambassadors on my birthday. So we worked on it quick, but we really spent a lot of time talking and visualizing what the sound would be. I want to go ahead and jump to just, as a shout out, because we're from the Bay, we're from San Francisco. We also crossed paths at Calle Once.
Oh, hey.
Calle Once, you know what I mean? Carnival-wise, or just when I went to go and party and have a good time. Can you tell me about your experience there? And because you're in so many different scenes, and this is one scene that you were in.
Oh my God, yeah, I love Calle Once. Like I hold a very special place in my heart to that venue. Well, basically, Rocio and Leticia Luna.
Shout out to Leticia.
They approached me. Leticia is the owner of Calle Once. She's like a pioneer, like female venue owner in the Bay Area. She's like very successful and very, very influential on.
She owned El Rocapulco, or owns, I'm not sure.
She started Rocapulco. She still owns the building there. Yeah. But they approached me. Rocio, her daughter, approached me. Shout out to Rocio. What's up? They approached me because they had seen me kind of doing events in the community, like Mission Cultural Center, Presida Eyes Festival, Brava Theater. Shout out to all those places too. Yeah. Carnival. Like I had been really involved in the community, but I was also, an up and coming engineer at that time. And they were like, we're opening a new venue and we need an engineer, but we need someone who understands the context of the city and the culture in the city. Nice. And since I'm from here and I had already been involved in the community, it was the right match, and then we threw so many events there. I think there was like easily like 100 or 200 events a year for while it lasted.
Right.
We had like Hyphy Wifeys, which was Rocio's event, which is like,
wait, what was that?
Hyphy Wifeys. It was like a tribute to like women in the arts in the Bay Area art scene. Ooh. We did like events with like Mr. Fab.
I remember
Dwayne Wiggins come through from Tony. San Quinn and RBL Posse rocked one night.
Hey.
A bunch of like local cultural influencers like of the Bay. Like I feel like at that time, like everyone, that was like our spot. We owned the culture there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had our own place where we can do this in like a safe and a positive and healthy way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and shout out to Leticia. Going back to what you said, she really created that space for us to express ourselves, not only through Carnaval, but there were other fundraisers that they supported because they understood that it's about the life of the community, and that's how it keeps businesses afloat. Unfortunately, there's COVID and so on and so forth happening now, but I just want to shout out real quick on the efforts, the intentional effort.
Yeah, I mean, it made its mark on the entertainment industry because there wasn't really any venues in the city that would support like our local talent the way Leticia did, and support it in that capacity, with that size, with that type of sound system, with that type of ambiance and lighting and everything. Like, it was dope. And they also supported community events and people, young creative entrepreneurs who were just trying to get their start and needed a space to share their work. It was a really dope experience. I'm
gonna share another photo real quick.
Taught me. Oh, sorry.
Go.
It taught me a lot about engineering too. Like, I did some days deal with like a 12-piece salsa band and plug them in an hour.
That might have been Carnival.
An hour, and then have a whole new band set up the next day. And I'm the only engineer, so I'm like busting ass to like make sure the show is going.
Yeah.
Taught me a lot about that and about the industry. Leticia mentored me significantly on how to survive that type of atmosphere and how to excel. And it's definitely inspiring. Hopefully one day we could get back together and hold space that way again. So.
Hell yeah. Bionics.
Hey,
you can't forget about Bionics, man. Tell me about your relationship with them. Who are they? Just for the public to know about them and their sound and your relationship with them.
Yeah, so Bionics, I was originally introduced to them. They had performed at Presida Eyes Festival a few years when I was younger, but I didn't really know any of them or who they were really until I came back to the city. And I got introduced to Pedro Gomez, the drummer.
Right here.
Front and center through Loco Bloco and through Brava Theater. And he kind of invited me into his studio that Bionics has had for over a decade. And he invited me to do some work there. And eventually I got to know the group a little bit better, and I hit up Jairo, the lead singer, about maybe accessing the studio time there and renting studio time. So that's where I go to produce and to develop talent. They really gave me a home to really refine my craft. All of them are like family to me. They're like my old big brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? They really brought me in like family, and they're doing great things. Bionics have their own sound that kind of fuses reggae with R&B and hip hop.
They do, Joe. Because
and Latino music.
Yeah, that was the last band I saw before COVID hit, and it was at El Rio. Now I can never forget,
Yeah.
They had a banging ass party over there, and anyway, that's just my last memory of Bionics and last memory partying prior to COVID.
Well, folks can still follow up and support music through like the live streaming. They do like live stream events, and there's a small admission fee to their streaming, but like, that's how we got to support ourselves now. So we need all the support we can get from like live streaming and the access points that we have now.
So if you want to follow Bionics, they're on IG.
Follow Bill. Shout out to Jairo. Shout out to Pete. Shout out to all Mikey Roots and all the folks at the studio.
Word.
Elijah was good.
Yeah. Speaking of the studio, I know you've been in several studios, and I'm gonna come back to Loco Bloco, of course. But Zoo Labs, what is Zoo Labs?
Okay, so real briefly, Zoo Labs is a music accelerator program that supports local artists in developing their business model and their plan to excel in today's music industry. They also provide a space for us to record and develop our product in Oakland. They have a really, really nice studio in Oakland that we've been part of. And I've been lucky enough to be invited by Local Bloco. The folks at Local Bloco accessed a grant and a residency there, along with a bunch of other groups. And so we're developing an album called the Legacia Project, which is taking a culmination of music that we've developed over the last 26 years, and we're putting it out under Local Bloco, under our own entity. Basically, we're kind of like pivoting and like making it our own, and we're working on an album that we're going to share with the community to hopefully keep programs and workshops running. And we're planning on expanding our workshops to a global reach. So this is like an opportunity. It's like a platform for us to develop our album, give us a business and marketing plan so that we can expand Local Bloco's message across the world, basically.
What's when do you have a time frame as to when you're releasing this album?
It's not clear right now because we're still in development. Like we're still producing the album.
Yeah.
We're cutting like about 8 tracks. It's an EP, and then we plan on doing a visual to it. We have to develop the album artwork and have like a really clear marketing strategy on how to reach the potential customers and donors that are going to support us down the line. So it's not really clear when it's going to be released, but I'll definitely keep social media and the internet's updated when that time comes.
Last photo, and then I have 3 questions for you. Larkin Street.
Okay. This is so at Larkin, I'm the arts instructor. I'm kind of like the liaison between the different programs that we have there. And I bring in young students who are experiencing homelessness here in the city. And I bring them in to help them develop their creative side and to help them access certain resources and programs that Larkin Street offers, from housing to employment to college success. But we're using our art program as a medium to bring in talent and to expose them to different opportunities that may not have otherwise been handed to them.
I love it. I love how you're paying it forward. You know what I mean? You know, each one teach one kind of mentality, and you have several projects you're working on, but you're always ready to also give back because you were given, you know, opportunities. I love how you want to provide those opportunities to others as well, man.
Right. It's been a personal mission of mine to take some of the experiences and the opportunities that I consider like privileged experiences, you know, like, but they're experiences that money can't buy. So there's value in the experiences that I want to pay forward to other people who may not have access or the resources to gain on that side. So I try to be a resource point to everybody. And when you have abundance, you know, it's meant to be shared. It's not meant to be hoarded. So
that's what's up.
I'm trying to share my abundance with other people. And it's been like a personal mantra of mine for the last, you know, years, you know, a few years. So
no, I know. And, you know, I appreciate a lot of the blessings that you bring to so many people. And so I wanted to bring you on, bro, before Thanksgiving to share one of my blessings, which is, you know, working with you, getting to know you, and both of us growing in our fields together, so to speak, and crossing paths. So I always end the conversation with 3 questions. Okay. 1, what's your favorite restaurant in San Francisco? I know, or one of your favorite. Let's keep it that way so no one gets offended.
Shit, that's hard. There's so many good restaurants. So many good, like I'm not really into like the super uber bougie fancy type places.
Okay.
I like when I go to a restaurant, I wanna make sure I'm getting my dollars worth in like quantity. So because I like to eat.
You like that shit hella fat.
There's a reason why I'm named Hella Fat. You know what I mean? 'Cause I like to eat. You know, but right now I guess Picaro, man, Picaro on 16th in Valencia.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, because you can go really big and get like a big plate, or you could get some tapas. You know, some really like simple plate of tapas. You know, and it doesn't run your wallet too much, but it's definitely like high caliber food. So it's
Picaro, definitely. I've been there many times. It's a staple for sure.
Yeah.
Your favorite park?
Ooh, shit. Probably Dolores Park, man. You know, you can't beat that view.
Exactly,
you know?
that view right there from what is that, 20th?
Yeah.
And
Dolores, I think. Is it Dolores? No, Church.
There you go, because that's where the train passes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can't beat that view.
You can't.
You got a lot of cool events there, cool gatherings with like just the homies, the friends. You know, like we all get together there to celebrate being from San Francisco, and that's another cool place.
Yeah. We're always working, like we're always fighting to reclaim Dolores Park. Right. It's fun though. Do you have a favorite street?
Favorite street?
Yeah.
Shit. Man, probably Mission Street, man. You know?
Yeah.
Mission Street has every like access to everything, the food, the culture, the arts.
Yeah.
The other perks of life, like the nightlife and entertainment, it's all there. And the community centers in the community, like what the people from the Mission value to bring. And the people who are from here, from the city overall, like we all share this thing in common that we want to preserve, like what's in our best interest, which is like community and which is like spreading the wealth and keeping the culture intact. So
yeah, man,
I'm all about it.
That's what's up. That's a good way to end this, bro. Or pause this, because we're coming back for sure. You know, down the line, we're gonna have another conversation and just talk about how these projects that you talked about unfolded. Anything else you wanna say before we call it a hiatus?
Yeah, real quick. I want to shout out MC Pause, Kamani, Ke the Spirit, Cali Bud and the Strains. I got a bunch of folks that I'm working on projects with right now. Dre D. You know, I got a lot of projects that we didn't even get to mention yet.
Right.
A lot of local talent that are in the studio working up. We're cooking up the next, the future of the Bay Area sound, man. We're doing it. We're doing it right now.
That's what's up.
And we got like plenty of stuff coming in 2021. And so just stay in the loop. You can follow me on Instagram at Hella Fat Beats. Visit my website, Hella Fat Kits. Just look around. Stay in the loop because there's a lot of new product coming to the world that's going to shake the way the Bay Area hears music. So,
yay. That's what's up, my G. Carlos Gutierrez, get it right. Carlos G, Hella Fat.
Oh, shout out to my mom and dad, Benny and Sylvia. You know, a lot of the folks know them through the community, through our annual Menudo party. So, you know, if we're able to throw this Menudo party this year, you know, you got the invite. It's every January 1st, bringing in the new year right with some
fresh, bro, you better invite. Menudo. Better invite. All right, my peeps.
All right, dude.
Bay Area, stand up. Peace.
Thank you, man.